1、2、3、4、5、6、1、2、3、4、5、6、ハグする。1、2、3、4、5、6、1、2、3、4、5、6、ハグする。1、2、3、4、5、6、1、2、3、4、5、6、なんか身の危険感じるからやめていい？よしよし。大丈夫。なんか身の危険感じるからやめていい？よしよし。大丈夫だから。離れて。私に全部任せて離れて。離れてって言ってるでしょ。私も撫でてみようかな。そうだ。
Hello! Hi, everybody. There's always so much light. Too much light in this world. Lock it out for the damnable thing that it is. Alright, let's see. Looks like we're set. Perfect. Audio's good. We are good. It is good. These are good things. There we go. All right, welcome everyone. Hi there. Who's here? Who's here already? There's like 5 of you here total between Twitch and YouTube now. So cool. Welcome. Welcome to the what would normally be a Schizoid Saturday is unfortunately going to be a Schizoid Sunday. I have to do it on a Sunday because had stuff going on, family stuff going on yesterday. Not bad stuff, just, you know, family stuff, and so I had to move it to today. Which hopefully, you know, the people who well, I posted that I was going to move it on both YouTube and on the server, so hopefully that was enough. For the Twitch folks, I'm sorry. I think there's a newer way to post stuff on Twitch, like messages. I gotta start using that. Things like that. I kind of forgot that they had that before. They didn't have anything like that, but I guess they do or something now. I don't know. I have a new toy. Check it out. It's like a weird spindly noodle thing. It's made out of plastic tubes that are curved. And it's just another fun little kind of fidgety, you know, for my fucking ADHD ass. It's pretty useful just for fiddling with it when I'm talking or thinking or what have you. Oh, you like this one too? Yeah, it's a good one, huh? I like it because I like when you turn it into like multiple rings, then you can actually curve it around your finger. But it's like hard. They're hard plastic noodles, so I can't like they're not bendy. But they feel like they are because of the way they swivel. It's kind of cool. It's fun. Yeah, I had that one, and then I got this one. That's one of those cubes that just like keeps opening up and extending and breaking and opening. I got this for $2. I was like, oh, cool. It just kind of keeps going. Yeah. So that one's fun too. You can do it with one hand, which is nice. It's kind of what makes it work. These aren't like, I don't buy these because they're fun. They're kind of just relaxing, especially when you're feeling a bit nervous or something, or when the ADHD got me wilding. All right, let's see here. They are? I didn't know that. I didn't know, like, specifically. Oh, I see what you mean. I could see that for sure. Okay, so now that I got some of you here already, I'm sure more people will come in. Oh, now I got a few. Cool. 10:06 a.m. Monday per Australia. Oh, okay. Jacob. I know. You guys live in the future, remember? All Australians are time travelers. Let's see here. Cool. All right. So, just to get started here, get right into it. The question I had posed for this week was as follows, and I got a few responses. Not like a crazy amount, but I got a few, and I'm excited to check it out. I got a few responses from some of the schizoids on my server. The question I put forward was, or topic, question, whatever, is if you could picture a comfortable environment, location, or surroundings that would make you more content and comfortable, and that you would have more control over how often you have to speak to people in general, what would that home world setting look like without the worry of people being involved? Answer honestly, and it does not have to be limited to a real life location. Also, tell me about what calming, enjoyable activities you would do on your lonesome there. So, just you know, I think almost every schizoid's had like a fantasy or two of being somewhere that is cozy and comfortable and away from people. in, like, you know, essentially the far off island sort of way. 1 second. Daughter just walked in right now because my wife probably lost track of her for a second. Okay, so point being, that was the question. That was what I put forward, and so I got a few answers, and I'm pretty hyped to check it out, see what kind of answers I get. I haven't read them, so I don't know what they say yet, but we'll see. And if anybody wants to join me after I'm done talking for a second here, you're more than welcome to in the VC on the server. It's April 1st, but the fake internet jokes don't start till tomorrow. Oh, okay. That's right. Oh, yeah. I like when the fake internet jokes come in. Especially when people still react to them, even though they're fake. My favorite thing about April Fools on the internet is there'll be like real stories that people will think are fake because it's April Fools, but then like when that story doesn't get, you know, comes out, like, because things have gotten so absurd, you know, like things have gotten so absurd. It feels like you have an April Fool's post every you know, the first of every month, much less just April. All right, hold on a second here. Hey there, Mortem. I'll let you speak in a bit here. For now, I'm just going to be talking. In any case, yeah, so I was thinking about that. I was thinking about what would that place look like for me? And I had a place, and I think most schizoids have had that place in their head. Maybe it changes, you know, with time. Maybe it's always the same place. Maybe it's a place you think about just to calm your nerves when things are feeling overwhelming, or, you know, people feel engulfing, things of that nature. I know for when I was more anxious, I would always have this kind of a place. When I was younger, I would have this kind of a place. For me, for some odd reason, it's always been like, it's always been a forest setting. I've always liked, kind of like, the idea of living in a hollowed out tree in the middle of a forest, like a giant red oak or something, with like multiple floors, and you just live in the middle of a forest in like a hollowed out tree house. I always thought that was really, really cool. And since it's like remote from society and people, but you could still, you know, find things to provide food and such. And I like the idea of it being like kind of tucked away somewhere, but I would still have access to like the nearest villages or city or whatever. And I would use it to, you know, gather things that I wanted and then leave. And things like that. I don't know. I just always had little thoughts and places, but for like anxiety and stuff, my kind of cozy spot was always under. It was always like this idea of wearing like, what do you call it? I don't even know what the actual name for it would be, like clothing wise. This is silly. I grew up being like a Final Fantasy kid, so early Final Fantasy. I'm old, so I'm not talking about like all just the PS1 era, PS2, or even PS2 era stuff. I'm going way, way, way before that. But I always had fantasies about dressing like a black mage in those games, having just the big coat where only your eyes can be seen, and they're like, you know, the little glowing yellow eyes, and then just a big straw hat, and then being under like a tree, really cozy on like a windy day, and like working on my like, I don't know, spell books or something, or reading alchemical or sorcery related literature. Like, I just love that idea, you know, of being under this big, you know, tree. That was not a big tree as in tall, but like wide and with a giant sort of cover, you know. And then I would be in the hat, and I'd be in my coat, and I would be doing my little research under it. And it'd be a windy day on a hill, and nearby would be my home, which is like, you know, in the inner forest. Yeah, I always had little cringy dreams like that about, and they would help calm my nerves and help me go somewhere where people would not be in a kind of a fantasy sort of thing. So yeah, that was the kind of place that worked for me. And so I was curious. I was thinking about that the other day, and so I was curious. I'm like, the other Zoids out there, like, what does their place look like? Because I can't imagine it's not a common thing we do. That a lot of schizoids have, like maybe a few go-to places that they kind of like listen to music and like to imagine themselves there, just being left alone, and such, or at least, or when anxiety kicks in, or other symptoms or other issues, it's just a place to kind of disassociate from it, or kind of put that somewhere else while you leave for a while. So yeah. So that was it for me. That was my go-to place. I always liked that place. Just all self-sufficient and just kind of being some wizard in the forest. I love that. Pondering orbs and such, right? Okay, so let me switch over to... Oh, well, that's my news thing. I don't know why it's showing that. That's okay. Fix that. That's weird. Why is it showing the wrong thing? Give me a second here. Always does this shit to me. It drives me crazy. OBS, you are annoying. Let me see. Let's try this again. Nope. There. I don't know. I always have to switch back and forth on that. All right, and then let me go ahead and undeafen myself in there. All right, there we go. How's it going, Mortem? How you doing today? No talkie. Oh yeah, okay, that's a good one, Jason, for sure. I just don't like, in my fantastical settings, I don't do realistic. I get enough of that, but I can understand the beauty of it for sure. Let me see here. Why is this doing this? I don't know if more of them here. Maybe they're not there. Maybe they're just not there. Maybe they're just chilling. In any case, well, if you're welcome to talk more to them if you want to, or if anybody else wants to hop on and talk about the subject, you're more than welcome to share. I'm gonna go ahead and start, like, of course, imagining all kinds of worlds. When it comes to actual comfort, I just need to want something very simple. Yeah. I mean, I think that's pretty simple. I just want to live in a hollowed out tree in the middle of the forest. And work on occult literature. Sounds pretty... I don't think it's that complicated. Just like one room, like, I just want one floor for doing my experiments, and then the other floor would be my bedroom and the kitchen. And you don't need a bathroom in the forest, you just shit in the woods. So there's also that. Just bury it. Go pooping. Let me see here. Okay. So I'm just gonna get right into it then. If anybody wants to talk, Mortem, if you're out there, you want to talk or share about that stuff, you're more than welcome to. All right. Let me look in here. So, music's not too loud, right? It's not like muting me. No, it just sounds loud to me. That's fine. Okay. let's see here. So with that question or with that thing in mind, I'm gonna start going through some of these. Boom. Okay. First one. All right. Dear Angst, I have always pictured myself settling down and residing in within the far countryside. It used to never be specific, but since being with my boyfriend, whom I'm most certainly going to marry and live the rest of my life with, I've done a lot more thinking about how we can achieve such a lifestyle, as he seeks to do the same as I do. Wyoming or Montana, deep within the countryside, either near a forest or some kind of mountains, seems loveliest. The kind of far out countryside where you need to drive at least half an hour to get back to civilization, where there would be no one around except for a few faraway neighbors, and we wouldn't want to speak to anyone unless we dialed them up on our phone or drove into town. We spend countless hours going on hikes, driving through the mountain trails, exploring. I'd like to collect more stuffed animals. My boyfriend would continue to work on his trucks. We'd eventually get some dogs and cats, maybe some cattle or buffalo, or perhaps even horses. We'd tend to those and spend our days with them as well. Oh, that's cozy. It's really cozy. I wouldn't want animals personally, just because I don't want to have to take care of them. But I can see why a lot of people find the taking care of an animal to be incredibly comforting and also fulfilling. So I absolutely respect that for sure. I've just never seen myself as somebody that wants to have a bunch of animals. Maybe one pet. Like if I was alone, I'd want like one cool dog. You know, be that old man with a dog. That sounds pretty sweet, honestly. Pretty damn cozy as well. I would say something along those lines would be good. But I was just thinking about maybe this. Wait, what did you say? Well, I didn't read the earlier thing you said. Maybe this is very normy of me, but mine seems to be a small, simple apartment with one trusted person. My mind always goes to imagining that. That's cool. It's chill. No, it's not simple. It's fine. You know, it's I can see that too. You know, it's more enclosed, which makes my claustrophobia easier. Obviously, I like the idea of a forest because, but it has to be like a dense forest, because then like only only those little rays of sunlight go through, and it's generally like pretty dim because it's such a dense forest. Oh, I love that. I love that. It's so good. So good. But I know I'm not a survivalist. That's why it's like a fucking fantasy, you know? The idea of being a wizard type figure that could sustain themselves off of, their magical know-it-all. And then just kind of live in some like simple fashion out in the middle of a dense forest. That alone, and then having enough firepower, said being a wizard to take out anything that might potentially try to be a predator to you or scare him off. I wouldn't want to kill him unless I'm going to eat him. But in any case, yeah, it's interesting, the idea of still having civilization at least somewhat nearby. I can see that realistically. I mean, it's always good to have at least one doctor that you can reach, because you never know, right? That would suck, that the only reason you die, like say you get like wounded in some way that could have been treated, but the only reason you die is because like you're 3 hours away from like the nearest hospital. Like that's a shitty reason to be killed, right? Like that doesn't sound smart at all. That sounds dumb. So it's depending on what it is too, or what the circumstances are, so on and so forth. So anyway, but yeah, like an hour away would be dope. Like that. Hour away from civilization, pretty reasonable. If it's just me, if it's my fam, then I'd rather it be like half an hour away, for obvious reasons. Because I mean, if I die, I die. But I don't want anything to happen to them. I don't want that to be the reason it does. Oh, somebody put, oh, right above that there was a very, very short submission. It's pretty funny, actually. The comfort, the place of comfort that they would envision themselves living in is 3 words. Windows XP steep. They want to live on the steep. The Windows XP steep. That's pretty strong, I gotta say. That's pretty good. Just a little home on that steep. Alright, let's see what else we got here. Okay, let's see here. Dear Angst, realistically, I would be fine right where I am if only I did not have to work or talk to other people. I just want more lengthy periods of time to immerse in the things I enjoy. Unrealistically, if I could live on Earth entirely alone, like an apocalypse scenario when humanity disappeared overnight, that would be a dream. Maybe I'd like to live somewhere rural, but anywhere would be fine since I'd enjoy wandering wherever I felt and doing whatever I wanted. Immersing in nature and exploring the cities with nobody to intrude on my peaceful life of total solitude. There you go. See, that's an interesting one, right? Why go somewhere where there are no people? And why not fantasize of the people just not being there at all? I mean, it is interesting, right? Like, imagine everyone in a city, like a large city, like disappearing, and there's no, restrictions. There's nothing, right? You could essentially walk into any building, pick any lock, break any door, and go into like corporate like buildings and just start like looking into stuff, trying to figure out little mysteries on how to get like the specific password to a specific computer. And so like, you imagine how crazy that would be? Like, you're just like, you go into like some corporate building, you're like, oh, I want to know what they were working on, but you're like, oh, I don't have the password. So then you're like, oh, who was working on this? So then you have to dig around the files to find out who was working there and who might have that stuff. And then you would have to like maybe get their address, go through their home, but everyone's gone, right? So you would have to like go in there, look for clues. You know what I mean? It's just like that's what I'm thinking about. Like, I'm wondering how fun that would be. I think that would be pretty amusing, in my opinion. And you just spend your days like looking for secrets, like Easter eggs, IRL Easter eggs. Oh, imagine how cool it would be, like, if all the people on Earth disappeared, and you could like go into like government facilities and military bases, just nobody's there, and nothing can stop you, and then you can start trying to like get like all these kind of former incredibly secret things. Maybe you can find the aliens underground. Oh, but they're gone too, unless they're not gone, unless they're the ones that made all humans disappear but you for some stupid reason. But nah, it's just silly. It's just a fun idea. I like it. I tried learning how to fish before to have self-sufficient way to get food. I'm not a fan of it though because I don't like disturbing the fish. One day I'd like to try owning beehives. Ooh, that's nice. Beehives sounds pretty cool. But I'm not a big fan of bees. I used to like when I was a kid. I was like super afraid of bees. The reason I was so terrified of bees is because when I was real little, I think like 2 or 3 bees landed on the back of my neck because I was sweating and it was like summer, and I reached to touch it because it felt like something was tickling me, and I ended up touching the bees, like, or kind of like hurting them or something because I was went like this, and then they both stung me on the back of the neck, and yeah, and that wasn't fun, and then that freaked me out for like years. Now I'm not scared of bees, but I am still terrified of certain other types of insects. I mean, I don't know too many people that aren't scared of like wasps. Wasps scare the living shit out of me, and it's just so funny too, because like even just one, like, yeah, those fuckers are scary, man. They could sting you more than once. It's not like a bee, where it's just a one and done because they're kind of fucked after that. But wasps, they'll just keep fucking you up. They don't care. Yeah, that's terrifying. I don't like that. Anyway, let's see here. Next one. Dear Angst, a mansion in the mountains, constantly overcast, sometimes rainy, no wildlife, no bugs, no landline phone, no neighbors, no fucking mail, deliveries by drone or helicopter, a team of highly trained stealth gardeners that maintain the area. Stealth gardeners? You got gardener ninjas? Their only job is to garden and never be seen by you? A sensory deprivation chamber in the basement, an understanding romantic partner, sniper team on the roof, PC with an internet connection, milk, mint tea, a library. I'd like to sit in the rain and breathe in the fresh air, to look at the night sky, to enjoy the silence. Sometimes alone, sometimes with someone I trust. Damn, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a pretty sweet one. Gotta say. I like that one. I like the sillier aspects of it. Those are pretty funny. The garden ninjas sounds they're like, oh, it's always so beautiful out there. And any ninja that gets seen by you gets fired. It's canned. When I was younger, I was terrified of bees and spiders. I've been stung by bees before too. Oh, okay, well there you go. Yeah, if you get bit by like a spider or get stung by bees when you're a kid, a lot of times you'll develop a little bit of a fear of that shit. That stays with you for a while until you get older. I imagine myself one day just tending to the bees peacefully, just being just wearing your suit, do your thing, getting your bees, getting your honey, propagating the bees that humans very much need. Well, let me see here. What else I got? All right, next one. Dear Angst, fully automated luxury gay space communism. All right, there you go. Gay space and communism is not too bad, honestly. Because when I think of gay space communism, I'm not really thinking of like, you know, people trying to make communism happen now, which is a terrible idea. But the idea of it basically becoming communism because like robots are doing everything, like, so yeah, like robots are making the food, robots are producing everything, robots are essentially self-perpetuating resources, and you know, creating such an abundance of shit that essentially no human has to do anything other than whatever their passion is. And if you want to do work, it's because you want to do it, like, not because it's, you know, a necessary product that society needs, right? So like, for example, like if, you know, you already have the technology to produce almost anything through some kind of factory that's self-automated, yeah, being a blacksmith would be irrelevant, right? But you could just be a blacksmith because you want to be a blacksmith, because you find something enjoyable and peaceful and whatever about it. And you don't have to worry about whether being a blacksmith is productive or useful, and such, right? I mean, if that's a life you want to live, then it's probably going to be a dystopia for you, right? Because you're like, oh, I can't find self-worth if I'm not producing something for my people or society. It's like, well, then I'm sorry, this is probably not gay space communism is probably not. Automated robot communism is probably not going to be your favorite. But yeah, technology making a variety of things obsolete, so that anything you do is essentially because you want to do it, not because you must. Yeah, that's a cool fantasy. I can't shit on that. And there's always going to be strife, right? And humans get so bored, they'll just create their own strife. That's what I was hoping. It's not, but that's what I thought the when I was looking at somebody playing Helldivers, I thought that was going to be the plot. That would be such a funny plot. That essentially, like, humans are so, like, they're just so, they live in like a technological paradise that like only the richest elite can afford to go to war and look for strife. Like, that's what the elite of society do. They look for like danger and war and death and suffering because they have none of that anymore in Homeworld. That's an interesting, fun thought. That's kind of how I always felt about like Starfleet and like a lot of the Starfleet people in Star Trek. Like most of the planets, like they're like type whatever civilizations, and they have literally technology on the goddamn ship that can produce like whatever food, whenever. I can't imagine an entire planet with that technology having too many problems, right? So yeah, I can imagine why, you know, an alien that's just bored of such a safe life, or even a human would go, I'm gonna be in Starfleet. At least like I'll be occasionally in danger, and but I'll get to see all kinds of crazy shit I've never seen with my own eyes. Like I could see why people would want to be a part of that, even if it wasn't like, because it wouldn't be necessarily duty. It would be just curiosity um and just I don't know, wonder. It's interesting. Anyway, yep, all for the gay space communism. Not really a fan of any other kind of communism, but gay space, automated. It wouldn't even be communism. It would just be an automated singularity world or some shit. I don't even know what you would call it. Some futurist fun times. All right, next one. Dear Angst. Let's see here. I have multiple answers for a location that I would prefer to be in. So I'll do real life one and non-real life one. I like this. I like how some of you are doing that. It's fun. Although no one's yet to beat the Windows XP steep submission. It's funny. Okay. The real life one is a consensus answer between alters in my system and is possible. Okay, so someone with DID. Plausible as something that could happen in this lifetime of ours. Real life, a house out in the middle of a mountain range. Jungle also works. Ooh, I wouldn't want jungles. The bugs are scary. With a lot of nature, forest, and stream behind it. There's a nearby road that gets low traffic and leads to a small town where I can get to know some locals, but they aren't neighbors with me. Get my groceries and such. The house would have all my needs. I would peruse things online like art, writing, make money off that so I could pay for electricity and internet, etc., and for the food from the local area. The house itself would be small, cozy, mostly wooden or antique in style, but still modern enough to hold together well, and have some modern appliances decorated in paintings, framed insects, and interesting colorful designs of all different interests. Got to have some frog and lizard terrariums too. Ooh. Fantasy location. Let's see here. I have this place in my mind that I've spent a lot of time in to be my preferred space habitat, which is a Neo City that is always night and raining. It is dark, modern, futuristic, in fact. The buildings are tall and filled with fluorescent lighting of many different colors. The sun does not show, and the residents are not human. Personally, I would even consider one area or building to be my home. I like the idea of being a masked wanderer helper who just considers the whole city my home. Pretty much just any Neo space rainy night environment is my go-to for feeling at ease and wonder. What I do there, just explore, go underground, ride some vehicles, help out. Probably some crazy kinky stuff on my imaginary BF. Nice. You want that less intrusive cyberpunk world, but a Neo City version. That's cool. I like it. Dig it. Perpetual nightlife. Because the sun does not shine. It almost sounds like it would be like some kind of cyberpunk setting, but that is also underground. Like for some reason, like, you know, like think of like cyberpunk, but the Earth's like the outside of the Earth is no longer habitable for whatever reason. So that's why the sun is no longer a thing, and you must function mostly on artificial lighting, things like that. That's interesting. Actually sounds kind of cozy, only because of the part where like you're literally in an enclosed space, like there's no sky to look at. I don't mind that. I hate the sky. Let's see here. What do we got next? Next one. That was a good one though. That was a really good one. Dear Angst, a small boat, perhaps a fishing one. I've always liked ships at sea, and the sea, but it's a lot of work to take care of and not cheap at all. So since we're not limited to real life, let's go sci-fi. Just put me on a small, deep space miner or salvager. No one to make you pay moreish costs in space. Uh, Perhaps the ore trader and the maintenance facility are automated even. Downside, there's no internet. But or perhaps upside there's no internet. Just interface with the hub when you're there and download the current entertainment package with 10,000 games and shows released that month with a user score of 4.9. You just want the good shit. Man, I wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want it to be limited to the 4.9 because I know there's plenty of stuff that has a low user score that I like, right? I've played stuff that's got a low user score and I play it and I'm like, this game is cool. And it was just really hard or frustrating or unfair. I don't mind it. It's actually kind of fun for me. But yeah, I get the rest of it though. It is kind of cool, right? I mean, it would be kind of cool, even if there's no internet. What would be cool is if like you can dock your ship to like say like a space colony that does have like interplanetary sort of internet, and then you can like download like another package, right, of like stuff once you've like basically used up whatever you had in the last package from floating around space for like like a decade or something. That sounds kind of cool, and then you just reload it and spend another decade going to the next colony you want to visit or whatever, depending on how fast. I'm thinking of like space travel that isn't like light speed and mostly interplanetary solar system space travel, not like fucking ridiculous, not like Star Wars hyperspace bullshit, but like actual like there's like a solar system that you could travel between, but it still takes like a long fucking time to get from place to place. So you gotta have that entertainment, right? Be a cool space pirate or something. I don't know. Anyway, next one. I got two more here. I'll read the last one first because it's shorter. Let me see here. Witch's Hut / Mansion from Berserk. Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. Couldn't help but think of hearing about your tranquil place. Yeah, the Witch's Hut Mansion. Yeah, that shit's fucking dope. Yeah, the Berserk one. That's a good one. That's a really good one. That's a really nice one. I'm digging that one. I'm digging that one for sure. Let me see here. Anybody in chat saying anything? Nope. That's the funniest thing about my fucking chat, dude. Like, I know there's less people than usual. Usually I can get like 12, 13 people, but it's normal I do this stream on Saturdays, but all right, last one here, and then I can yammer on about the subject, or somebody else can jump on the VC and talk to me about their thoughts on that or anything else. Let's see here. So, what do we got here? Somewhere in the middle of a forest. Man, what's up with schizoids in forests, man? They like forests, huh? Yeah, it's that isolation from people or cities, maybe. I don't know. It's really funny because some of these submissions are either forests, isolated, or highly dense cities where the person can be like isolated but still within a dense city. It's really interesting. Somewhere in the middle of a foresty planet with no other. Ooh, forest planet. Ooh, that's cool. With no other connection to others, albeit preferably with the X around. Why the X? One of the very few people whose physical presence is not only disliked, but actively counters the dislike of the presence of others. Just having a cabin or like somewhere, a good analogy would be the cabin from Sword Art Online. Upon thinking about it, hell, even a situation like that, a Sword Art Online would be an improvement. Yeah, I mean, wouldn't be a bad thing, right? Like there are some worlds where it's like, oh, your life is in danger, but when your life's not in danger, it's a lot more interesting to live there, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, no, like look how many dangerous things that could fucking murder you are in, like, say, the Forgotten Realms sort of. That'd be the Baldur's Gate style kind of universe, right? I mean, there's all kinds of scary shit there. But man, like, what's better? To live there and die in your 40s by some you know, happenstance or to live here and die in your 70s? Like, you know, agnostic evolutionist. Well, love is a delusion. Just eat shit, sleep machine. Okay, well, that's cool. I don't know why you have to drop it in all caps, but whatever. Just you do you, man. Unless you're yelling it, and that's fine too. I have no problem with that whatsoever. That's funny if you are. Um. So, yeah, just a quick stop before I ramble on here. If any of you guys want to talk, just jump in the VC on. It's the Angst live stream one. I'm here. You want to chat about anything else or this subject, or you know, kind of this fantasy location you go to, or to just feel more comfortable, at least, or disassociate from the current human civilization you are so unfortunate to take part in. And but yeah, yeah. Or if you could, you can type it in chat or anything else like that. Also, if you like the streams, if you like the work I do, whether it's the YouTube channel, the server, or anything else, please, guys, I really appreciate it when you guys help me out with Patreon. I have a Patreon and PayPal. That shit's really cool. It's really helpful. It helps pay for the little things I had to pay for to kind of be able to do this sort of stuff, and also having that extra money. Basically, I can tell my wife, "Hey, here's some gas money. You know, here's some extra gas money. Here's some extra grocery money." You know, and that makes it a lot easier for me to basically convince them that it's a good idea for me to be spending hours out of my week, you know, thinking about, working on, preparing, networking, being on my phone a lot, trying to talk to people. There is one person I might get to interview. They're going to be interesting. If I can get an interview with them, I'm going to be pretty interested in doing it. I can't say who it is because you know, I don't like to until it's done. But they are a person that has a much bigger YouTube channel than me. It's not like a giant massive. I'm not gonna get fucking some million YouTubers, you know, whatever. One day. But they're definitely a million times. Well, not a million times technically, but a lot bigger than me, channel wise. And they're on the schizo spectrum. So it's somebody that's on the schizo spectrum. And they are not schizoid, but they are definitely on the schizo spectrum. And hopefully, if that pans out, might make for a really interesting, educational, whatever video. And if you like to support the type of shit I have to do to kind of, you know, make that little stuff happen, and eventually create the NPO I would dream of creating, please support me in whatever ways you can. All right, let me see here. Wait, hello? Yeah, wow. Why did it auto-mod from saying Angst is deaf on schizospec? Yeah, of course I am. I say it all the time. I'm not schizophrenic, not to be confused with being schizophrenic or schizoaffective or schizophreniform. I don't have positive symptoms. I define schizospectrum as something else entirely, which is a cognitive difference and default pattern sort of thinking type deal. So let me see here. Who just jumped on? Who's here with me? Who's here?
Not the schizo, that's for sure.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, in many ways, you're more schizo than me. Like, well, I've been talking about positive symptom wise. We were talking about that part. You got me a little bit beat there, but how you doing?
And I'm better now that I took a little nap.
Oh, you just went to sleep?
Yeah, I had Easter breakfast today with my family,
Yeah.
and like at around 6 o'clock my time, I just got like insanely sleepy.
Okay.
So
You've
took
recovered.
a nap. Here I am.
So, do you know what the theme was?
Uh, yeah, a little bit. I didn't look too much.
Yeah, I was just curious. I actually thought about what yours might look like because we was just talking about like either realistic or unrealistic, both uh, places that you would imagine yourself much more comfortable to be in, and of course, whatever it is, it would allow for more control over when how many and when you interact with people. So it's not like you have to be completely isolated, but you have more control over that. And what would that environment be like? What would that kind of setting be that would be the coziest to exist in?
For
And
me,
yeah,
if we're just talking normally, for me,
yeah,
I've like on days that I am more anxious than normal,
mhm,
I like to, if I am able, right, like if I'm not like near a window or anything, or if I can't see the light from outside, I like to trick myself into believing that it's actually nighttime if it's day. And that in and of itself actually does ease my anxieties and makes me calm down.
really,
So just the mere fact that it's nighttime,
yeah,
because I'm more of a sensory deprivation when it comes to like autistic spec stuff.
hmm.
Like I don't seek out sensories. I usually try to deprive myself of them, and that's
Well, I
my
mean,
form of
most autistic
stability and
people don't
control.
seek them out, I would say.
Well, it some do. There
Yeah, it
are some that are
varies.
very much sensory seeking.
That's so interesting. But it's probably sensory
Mhm.
seeking of certain types. There's probably some sensory stuff that they don't seek.
There's there's a lot, right? There's a very like there's nuance to everything, but for the most
Fair.
part, in general form, I am more sensory deprived.
Okay, cool.
And that's kind of like the way I differ from you from your ADHD.
Fair enough. Yeah,
How
for
you
sure.
always like novelty, I like the
Oh
exact
man,
opposite.
I love myself some novelty. Yeah. Oh, definitely, definitely do. Um,
So nighttime helps. Uh, the being around younger people helps. I'm always far too often around people that are older than I am, and I
mhm.
feel like that has some kind of like negative effect on like I guess my
So people
inferiority.
more your age, around your age.
Yeah, because it's just more uncomfortable with the age gap with me. I
Okay.
can do it. It's not hard,
I'm
but
way
I would
older than you. You seem to talk to me just fine.
Well, yeah, but then that gets into the next part where I also get along significantly more with neurodivergent people.
That makes sense. That's true. That probably has
So
nothing
I'd
to do
like
with
to
my
have more
age.
of those. I'd like to have more of those, and that would make a space more comfortable for me.
Um, if that's the case, though, like, what would be okay? So it's not a loud place. Um, the type of people there are more often neurodivergent. Fine, we got that. But I'm talking about like the setting. Like, what would it be? Like, people were talking about how they want to live in a forest, and other people wanted to live on a space, freighter in the middle of nowhere with just like computer programs they could play with. Other people wanted to live in like like a neon city where they can just kind of be anonymous with them. Like what's your kind of setting that you would say is like the coolest, most comfortable,
Mm,
most aesthetically pleasing?
you can go two routes with this. One, which is the more closer to the like the void aspect of sensory deprivation,
Hmm.
which would be something along the lines of like space.
Okay.
Like maybe a space station that's close to like you can see out the port windows of like nebulas.
Okay.
So the idea of the space station is you're surrounded by night, quote unquote,
Yeah.
but there's also like these really cool like stars in the ocean kind of like
Yeah.
aspect to it.
Yeah.
But there can only be so many people on the space station anyway,
Yeah.
and it's quieter. So probably that.
So some
Or
kind of space
if you want to
station.
go,
So like Deep Space
yeah,
Nine style, like if you've seen Star Trek Deep Space
yeah,
Nine,
yeah. I love space. It's so cool.
yeah. Or you could go what?
Or
Hmm.
if we want to go the other aspect, it would probably be more not cyberpunk city, but more like neon noir city. More like Edge Runner. Not Edge Runner. Uh what the fuck? What's the Gosling movie? I always forget the name.
Blade Runner, Edge Runner.
Blade Runner. Like yeah.
Yeah, no, I got you. Yeah,
More
it's a
Blade.
more cyberpunky kind of world. But yeah, yeah, by
And
that
not
neon.
necessarily it's cyberpunk, but like more of like sleeker building designs instead of the more punky
All
rebellion
rainy
stuff.
weather.
Oh, absolutely. Nighttime, rainy weather.
Rainy weather, but it's like rainy weather combined with like nighttime city lights and like weird
Yeah,
hologram like
yep.
fucking
Night
advertisements.
night I don't know why, but just being up at night just is so much more comfortable than being up and during the day.
Have you ever seen a show? The first season was good. I didn't really like the second one, but did you ever see a show called Carbon? Fuck, I can't remember the full name. It was Carbon something. It was like a. It was on Netflix. It was actually pretty damn good first season, and it was like that kind of neo noir kind of weird world. It's rainy and dark, and it's like a crazy world where people can basically like you can, if you're rich enough, you can actually like buy new bodies to put your consciousness in. And so and the only way to actually kill somebody would be to destroy that the memory, or the memory capsule which all their brain information is stored. So that's the only way to actually kill them. Otherwise they can just essentially like, as long as that survives, it can just be uploaded into another body, unless you don't have the money to get another body, in which case your family has to like save up money so that they can get you a new body, or just give up on it. And it was really interesting too, because like in that show, was it Carvin something? In that show, there was like religious groups that were anti that. They thought that when people die, they should die. They should not just keep uh, coming back in new bodies, because that was like
Yeah,
bad and all this sort of stuff.
fucking
And
Puritans.
well, they were like revering death as a process that's necessary to existence.
Yeah,
And
fucking Puritans of life.
but yeah, it was interesting. I can't remember the full name, but it was Carbon something. But I think you would really like that first season, because it deals with a lot of interesting
Probably.
topics, and it's really gritty. It's so gritty. Um,
I'm
and
one of the odd people here that likes the aspect of living longer than a normal human lifespan, and I know that's very uncommon for a Zoid, but
I mean, I'd be
I
down.
like
I'd
the
be down
idea.
only because that would let me do more work that I think is important. So you
There's
know,
more stories to be told.
yeah, and there's more work to be done. Um, Let me see here. Uh, oh, I was just thinking of something. Oh yeah, so there's a world here. This world would probably be really not cozy. I was thinking about like, what would be the science fiction setting that would be the most Altered Carbon? Thank you, Cryozoid. Yeah, watch Altered Carbon. The first season's incredibly good. The second season's okay. But it's kind of weird. But in any case, it got canceled, sadly. But just watching the first season is worth it. It's just fucking awesome world. Just for the world building, just
Ev-
for the world.
Every fucking niche sci-fi show, I swear, either gets canceled or only
Yeah, I
has like
know, dude. Altered Carbon's a really cool
5
niche sci-fi
episodes.
show, and it
There's
has
a lot of them right
really
now.
cool visuals, really cool, really good actor too. The guy who played the main character in that one, very very cool, very good actor, very believable. So, like, what is it called? Badass that's suffering type character.
Hmm.
So let me see here.
Very Western male character archetype.
Well, sort of, because like even the body he's in the throughout the show is not his original body. You get me? It's kind of like Ghost in a Shell, like, because
Yeah.
like even in the original film you find out that that the commander was essentially like, previously at some point they had been a man, and other times they'd been a woman. But they basically settled on woman bodies. They preferred them more. But you don't really know about who they were when they were a human and not just ghosts in a shell, essentially. Um, but in any case, when I was thinking about science fiction, there's a really, really kind of crazy fucking world in this manga. I have the whole manga. If you haven't read it, I suggest it. It's called Blame. Uh,
I have not heard
oh,
of it.
Blame is fucking great. It's a really good manga. It has like really crazy looking art, like that's just, sometimes it's like hard to differentiate between like buildings, and that's kind of the point in the structures in it. And most of the manga is just no dialogue. Most of the panels don't have any words. It's just sounds. There's It's just mostly a person traveling alone. And then when there is dialogue, it'll be like for a while, but then there'll be like, you'll read a book, one of the books, and it'll be like maybe only 25% of it will actually have dialogue. And the world's really would be really uncozy, I think, for most people. on a conceptual level, it's very kind of crazy because what happens in this world, but I because of my agoraphobia, I'm just like, yo, this world sounds awesome. Except for, all the killer silicon life that's in it. But if you can find a sweet spot somewhere in it, then you're good. And some humans did, or mutants, some of them. But basically, it's a world where everything became like sort of self-automated, and humans lived in a sort of Dyson sphere type thing, if you know what that is.
Yeah.
And what happened though is the technology eventually outlived, or something caused most of humanity to cease existing or die off. But the programs that caused did the construction of the layers, they kind of ran amok for like thousands and thousands of years. And so they've been essentially creating layers and layers and layers and layers of just randomly generated like infrastructure and just buildings, and it's just like a clusterfuck of buildings, stairs that lead to nowhere, ladders that go nowhere, buildings that have multiple floors with nothing on them, and like all kinds of structures. And so and it did this for what is, you can guess by what is said in the manga, for so long that it's at a point where the structures are like the Dyson sphere, whatever it is you would want to call it. It's the size of like if it started on Earth, it's now reached Jupiter.
Oh.
That's how insanely big it is now. So it's actually like absorbed, like long absorbed the Earth and a variety of other whatever it came across
That
along
sounds
the way.
cool as hell.
Yeah, so it's like a fucking right. So it's reached Jupiter essentially
It's
at
like
this
a
point,
that's
distance
not even
wise.
a mega planet. That's like a fucking gargantuan,
Yeah, no, it's like
like
it's
galaxy-sized
eventually, yeah,
planet.
it's eventually going to get to the size of an entire galaxy. And so the point of it though is the main character, he's trying to find this one information that's supposed to be like what the last remaining information that has the original human genetic code information. And he's searching for it because that's all he was ever built for, or because he's kind of a half human silicon mutant hybrid kind of being, and his name is Killy, and he's just traveling and traveling, and he's climbing all these layers at a snail's pace, obviously. And basically, as you're reading the manga, you don't know how long he's been climbing. He's like, he doesn't need to eat. He's immortal, minus, like he doesn't age, he doesn't get disease, he doesn't need to eat, and he can just kind of mindlessly do things as necessary, even though he has, he's sentient. He can like basically like there'll be like a few panels of it looks like he's going up a few stairs, climbing some ladder, going up some elevator, climbing a tube or something, and then it'll like the next panel will say like it'll say like a certain amount of time has passed. Like sometimes it'll be like thousands of years essentially.
2 seconds have passed.
Yeah, but it'll be like he'll be like literally climbing for 1,000 years. Like between
What's
one
that
chapter
one
and the
fucking
next.
game where that's like it takes 400 days? That's what it reminds me of.
Oh, you mean that awesome game that you should play
Yeah,
yourself?
that one.
It's
That one.
yeah,
Yeah,
The
no
Longing. The
thanks. But
Longing.
yeah, it reminds
No,
me of
you
that.
would really like it, dude. It doesn't take that long.
Okay, but like
Yeah,
okay, but
but anyway.
continue.
Yeah, it doesn't have to take 400 days. There's a way to speed it up, but not by a whole lot. But well, actually, yeah, by a whole lot. But anyway, so but yeah. So that's the manga. So he's just climbing and climbing, and every so often he gets to a layer that's inhabited between all the uninhabited layers, and he'll find like new life, silicone-based life, mutants, new species that have developed over the course of the time that those species have lived on that part of the the gargantuan structure. And a lot of the species on the different, or the beings on the different layers, they have no idea what it even is, that they just think that's the world. And because
Like Tower of God. but like on a
Yeah, and that's the world. Like for them, they've had generations, and they're dealing with different problems. Like it'll be like one layer will be dealing with like some existential threat to them, and it'll be some kind of silicon-based life form that's taken a very specific shape and style. And Killy has to like fight them because they usually stop him from progressing. So he inadvertently helps sometimes the people on those layers. But he's more interested in his mission, and usually the peaceful civilizations aren't going to get in his way. It's always like the more aggressive species or civilizations that try to kill him or capture him, and obviously he can't finish his job if that happens. And he has this the only reason he's obviously like very very like inhumanly he's inhumanly strong, but not like ridiculous, but he's pretty damn strong. But so is a lot of the silicone based life there, right? And he's really really tenacious, and he can repair his body can be repaired by the right stuff. Basically he can survive a lot more shit than any human, but he could still definitely be killed. But the reason he keeps winning is because, and not without a lot of losing body parts occasionally, I think, but is because he has this little gun. It's like this little small gun, and I forgot, it's called the gravitational. It has like a crazy science fiction name, and essentially it was a gun that was created and designed to punch holes through the layers so that he could keep climbing. And so even if he hits a spot where it's like, oh, this looks like a dead end, but I'm pretty sure this will let me go up, he could just melt a hole right through the structure and then just keep climbing. And so that's his like, and it's super OP weapon for obvious reasons, right? And he'll fight stuff, but it's so fucking strong sometimes that it'll launch him into like the fucking like the other side of shit. But so he doesn't always have full control over like how the shot is going to infect his environment, or it's going to like send him flying into a wall or something. And so it's really interesting. So he doesn't always use it. He only uses it when he needs to because of how fucking ridiculously strong it is, and the consequences of basically shit collapsing in on everything. But sometimes he runs across silicon-based enemies that are just fucking ridiculous, and he has to just fire it like point blank at them to get rid of them because they're like regenerating and shit. But yeah, anyway, Blame. It's Blame exclamation point. So technically it's Blame, like that's the name of it. But yeah, it's fucking
like the
cool.
sound that had like it's the sound when he fires his gun. Blame.
Blame. Yeah. But yeah, it's a really good fucking manga. I highly suggest it to anybody out there that doesn't just like manga but likes like kind of quiet environments, and like because like between, like I said, between that really action packed, very very stylistic weird scenes with sci-fi fighting and weird shit, and bad guys with like cannon arms and sword fucking back spikes and shit. There's just like, it's just him just quietly climbing, and occasionally him looking at weird life that isn't like a problem. It'll be like weird plant life and just strange shit that he'll like kind of look at and stare at for a bit and then just keep moving on. And like it's cool as fuck. And the whole point, the whole I guess excitement of reading it is you want to see him get to the outer shell. You want to see him eventually get to the outside, because supposedly that's where this thing has eventually been taken. This information exists somewhere on the uppermost layers. And so anytime he shows up somewhere new and he finds people, he asks them if they know anything about it. And of course they don't, because it's some piece of information, some artifact that's basically been lost for like, I don't know how many thousands and thousands of years at this point, since it was created for the purposes of finding it. So it's cool.
That goes along the like kind of theme that I like, where it's like, imagine if you were able to like sail across like the space, but like you could breathe, right? Like imagine space, but it's breathable air, and like people have like ships, not like spaceships, but like
pirate ships. We become
wood
sailboats
and sails spaceships, and they fly them. Yeah,
Oh, there's
they
wind.
literally
So there's
sail
wind. It's
across
like
nebulous,
space,
and you
but
can
wind.
breathe in the air. That's such a cool thing. Yeah,
Uh,
there's wind in
that
space.
reminds me of
That's
like
just such a cool
no, there
concept.
was a really, I mean, it's not cosmic,
I would
but
love
there's been
that.
a really good air pirate games and a few animes, but there was one really cool old air pirate fucking game called, it was a Sega game, it was called Skies of Arcadia. It was like a RPG where it was all air pirates and stuff. And so they were just like, they were just flying through fucking the, because like basically like it's those cool worlds where like the land is uninhabitable, so like cities and shit have to be in the air perpetually
Yeah.
and stuff like that, which is really fun. It's kind of like reminds me of, like, the Jetsons. Even when you're thinking about the Jetsons, that's kind of their existence. It's really weird. Like, people don't really think about it too much, but if you think about the Jetsons, they live on like these super super mega structure high towers, like God knows how far away from the land, and all you see below them is just clouds. So they live in some like, why, like what's down there. That's what's always been interesting about the Jetsons. It's like, what's down there. I know there's been people that have developed theories that that what's actually down there is the Flintstones. So I always thought that was
That's
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah, there's people that have come up with theories like that. It's like, oh yeah, that's what's left of human civilization. Once like these other ones have, these elites have transcended essentially, and now they live like this futuristic 1950s style high tower life, and then like all the humans that got left behind are just living a prehistoric life, or maybe it is like a prehistoric style planet that the technology eventually let them leave behind or something. Like it's just a fucking funny theory. Treasure Planet. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, Treasure Planet. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I love Treasure
Yeah,
Planet.
Treasure
That's
Planet.
close
That's
to me.
actually probably like a really good example of what you're talking about, huh?
That's where I got the idea from.
Dude, have you ever? I know everyone's watched it, but if you've never watched Cowboy Bebop, you'd really like it for that reason too. Cowboy Bebop's
Yeah,
totally
I
up your
probably
alley.
would.
Oh yeah, totally up your alley. Total sci-fi noir, space pirate, spaceship shit, whatever. Um, but anyway, that world of Flame, that's really cozy to me, for obvious reasons, right?
Yeah, that sounds awesome to me because, like, it's like almost
It's
like you're climbing
always
like a
always.
tower and you're exploring like the vastness of space, but it's habitable.
Yeah, yeah, essentially, and
Like
and
there's
there's
some part
life
of
in
like
it.
exploring. Yeah, there's exploring this like insanely incomprehensibly large structure. That's just so cool.
Yeah, but it's so crazy because like the only way to really enjoy it is to be essentially immortal like Killy. Cuz otherwise you're never getting out of your lair. Like you just don't have enough life in your years. Like the best you can do is just explore the lair, and you would still find a lot of cool shit, but you're not even going to be able to find all the shit in there within your lifetime because it's fucking ridiculous. And so
And this is the part where we argue for eugenics so that we can become closer to God,
and then
right?
become, oh yeah, sure, and then become immortal so that we can we want to become immortal so we can keep climbing the giant megastructure thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we can fill
yeah,
the universe with paper clips.
yeah, yeah. So, but yeah, I highly suggest it. But yeah, yeah. That's all. I mean, that's a really cozy science fiction world for me because then the sky will never. We are absorbing the sky. It will never absorb us.
Yeah, that's even better for you because it's just like the thing that like the
It's getting
abstract thing
further
that
away.
would take you. But it's not like
Yeah.
I want to put this in a sense like that what would take you, like personify what would take you. It's
Hmm.
like we're fighting back against that. That's probably what makes it really cozy.
There's, oh
Because
man.
that like it doesn't feel hopeless because there's like a thing that you can actually attack.
Yeah, yeah. You get it. You get it. But I also like the idea that this megastructure keeps growing. So even if it's only a little bit more that it grew within my short lifetime, I know that it's essentially my corpse will remain away from, like, it's gonna get further and further away from the thing I don't want to be a part of. It's interesting to me. But Yeah, yeah, yeah. If anybody else wants to jump on and talk about this subject, or even in chat has something to say, let me look. It trips me out.
Yeah,
I've seen.
I'm
Oh,
just
don't.
so
No, the
I'm
anime's
so
terrible.
overcome.
Porthos, the anime
What?
sucks. Did the manga ever end? Yeah. There's only like 12 issues or something. But no, the anime is awful because the anime is not really like it's not really, it's more of like a short story, because the anime is more like a series of events that happens between a certain set of books. It's not really like the full story at all. So, and that's why it kind of sucked, because it was just like, why even make that? Like, just leave it alone. And plus, they couldn't capture the art style. Like, it's just too hard. For them to, they would have to like have made it like a very huge project with a decent budget to be able to fucking try to pull it off. It's just too, the art style is too kind of unconventional for it to be kind of done with. But anyway, yeah. But the movie's all right. But I don't recommend it over the fucking manga. Read the manga. It's cheap. It's out there. It's not hard to find. It's not a giant manga, so you can get like, I think it's only like 12 or 13 issues, and it ends. It ends, and obviously, nothing's ever gonna feel like everything got wrapped up, obviously, and that's not the point of it. So, but yeah, it's still a very solid read. I call it a solid read, but you're barely reading in it. You're like mostly just looking at pictures. It's pretty funny.
It's just food for dreamers, mostly. That's what it
Yeah, it
seems
really
like.
is. Like, it's kind of crazy. Hold on, I'll be right back.
Well, chat. This is the part where I awkwardly try to keep up the conversation so y'all don't leave. Hi, how you doing? Probably open up the YouTube side of things too. So, streaming things, yeah. Yep, streamer. Streamer. Uh, the thing that made me fascinated with these kinds of stories where it's like an infinitesimal expansion, right? Like, I've always been a fan of stories. I've always loved stories, lived and breathed them all my life. So you'll have a certain some of stories like Atlantis and Treasure Planet from way back in the day,
Oh, I remember
which are just
Atlantis.
absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I love them so
Dude, the
much. But
sequels
Treasure
sucked so
Planet,
bad on the Atlantis ones. The sequels are
I
ass.
can't remember. But
Yeah.
like Treasure Planet
Yeah.
was definitely one of those, like starstruck kind of movies for me. That's really had a big impact.
See if it shows up. So yeah, this is the cover for the first issue. It has like weird kind of what's it called? What is that called when you negative, right? Or what is that called when you inverse colors? Or shit, I can't remember. Where it gets all like
It's
black
just
and white, and
it's just inverted
yeah, it's got kind of like a
or
weird.
a film negative.
Yeah, it looks kind of like that, and then like most most of it, like I said, it's just like a lot of like there'll be tons of panels like this where it's just let me see here. I'm trying to see if I can. Yeah, here we go. So no dialogue, just structures, maybe one bubble, and then just more like just walking through structures and seeing weird shit and traveling through
Just
places.
imagining the silence actually
Yeah, like
puts me more at ease.
I mean,
Do you remember how much? Do you
well,
remember how much you paid for that?
this book?
Yeah.
Well, I paid the original price of it, so that was, I think, like $10 at the time.
Okay.
Why is that?
Well, I just wanted to know how much it cost you.
Oh, okay. Well, I know, but it was a weird question. Like, if you could say, like, "Oh, how much are the books?" I could, yeah, but the way you framed it, like how much I specifically paid for it, that's kind of interesting. Like, you know what I
Well,
mean?
it's interesting for me to track how the price changed over time.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, I can see that for sure. And of course, it's like, it's very violent.
Yeah,
Because
because you're really old, Angst, and you probably bought that when you were really
well, let me see
young
what
kid,
year it
like
came
20
out.
years ago.
No, okay, stop.
Like you probably bought that when Christ was still walking.
Yeah, that's it. Um, what sucks is that one of the reasons I love manga, but one of the reasons I stopped buying physical copies of it, is because well, at least I wait. I don't buy a manga until it's done because there's just so many. There were so many mangas that I bought and manhwas that just never finish, and they either never finish or they don't. The publisher drops them, and they finish, but you have to buy like so you'll have like 20 English language ones of like decent quality, and then you have to like buy some like the last five in like Japanese, and the quality sometimes isn't as good, and then you have to like go online to like translate it, and like what's the point? Luckily the people will like fan translate unfinished mangas and stuff, which is cool too, but it just puts a fucking pisses me off, man. Like, buying like fucking 15 of these, and then it just stops. It's just sitting there on a cliffhanger.
Guess you
Um,
just need to learn Japanese. That's a skill issue if I've
and
ever
well,
heard
some of
one.
them, and like some of them also because of the possibility that if you buy into a manga that's not complete, there's always a chance the artist will die, or or they'll quit, or they'll go to jail for something weird. And so that's why I'd rather wait till a manga's complete before I invest in it. It's just no point. It's fucking frustrating, dude. One of the best examples ever, one of the greatest manhwas, because it was a Korean, I ever read was one called Priest, and it was so fucking good. I have every book until the last one, and it ends like on a crazy cliffhanger. And I think the artist just kind of stopped doing it, and he went on to some other projects or something, and then it just never continued, and it was just like it was weird, man. It was weird. And there's another one that was really good, really fucking violent, really kind of gross, and it was like gross because like there would be just like I don't know how to explain it. There would be a lot of fucked up sex stuff mixed with weird gore and violence and religious and Buddhist themes. It was called Arm of Cannon. That fucking was amazing. That was one of those mangas that when you went to the bookstore, they would be wrapped in plastic because they didn't want any kids opening it up.
Yeah, because it would be rated 18.
Yeah, it would be an
I've
18
seen
plus
a few of
manga,
those.
and those were like, wow, man. Anytime I saw a manga wrapped in plastic, I was like, I should look at this because I'm like, why is it so bad? And one example of that was the battle royale
It's usually
mangas.
just sex. Especially
No,
in the West, it's usually just sex.
it's that, but like some of them, it's both. Like battle royale had a manga that was super crazy violent. There's another it was a comedy that was like very 18 and over. But it was like really, really gory because it was horror mixed with comedy. It was called Raiko the Zombie Shop. That was amazing. That one was fucking insane. I'm talking like batshit crazy, like super high detail art of like, the top of someone's head getting sledgehammered off. And then, but like the characters were like zany and weird. And, so it was like really disturbing, like imagery and kind of guro. It was just straight up gore with like zany themes and weird characters making jokes at the same time. So yeah, like there was like I remember there was like a section in one of them. I still have them where like some girls are being captured by some psychotic woman, and she's like killing one of them, and basically opens up her stomach and pulls out her intestines, and the girl's like alive, and then like she rips the intestines, and then pours her fucking shit in her
Hold
intestines.
on, wait. Trigger warning for the people watching this, Angst. Holy
Oh,
fuck.
sorry. Well, I'm just talking. I'm not showing them. But anyway, she's like, it's in the manga,
Bill.
and so yeah, she's like pouring shit out of
Gross.
the intestines, and then she's telling the girl, "How does it taste? Do you feel beautiful now, tasting your own shit, or something like that? Some crazy
That's
shit." And
disgusting.
yeah, it is. It was fucking gross, and then the next panel would be some goofy shit. It was like the weirdest thing, man. And the covers would just be the main character with big titties and being all demonic because she's the way they battled in it was they would summon zombies, but it was you could like basically summon zombies from different eras, and they have different powers. So you'd be like summoning Napoleon, and he'd have like cannons and stuff.
His
And
power was that it was short.
yeah, and he had cannons. Or you'd summon like just historical figures, zombies. Like they would come out of nowhere, and then they would have like their like abilities and talents and stuff. And they would essentially, yeah, they would summon corpses to battle each other like Pokemon. And it would just be really, really just a gore fest. That was a really fun set of books. That was crazy. They didn't pull any punches too. Like they would get like it'd be like a little kid character that's like, you know, the main character's trying to help or something, and they just get demolished by like a fucking explosion or something. And I'm just like, God damn, dude. But yeah, that was a good one. There's a lot of weird mangas that just died. There's one called Lament of the Lamb. I always bought like the weirdest mangas I could find, and because they were the weirdest and least popular ones, they just kept remaining unfinished, like constantly. Like it would just be like Blame's like one of the few mangas I got to finish, like having all of the books. That's kind of why I stopped buying mangas, because all the ones that I was attracted to buying would just they wouldn't finish. Nobody's reading them. Americans weren't reading them for sure. They were just too weird. They weren't shonens, you know. And a lot of when I go to like Barnes and Nobles or whatever, and I look through the manga, man, like a lot of that stuff's gone. Like I see a lot of good manga, a lot of cool stories, a lot of various genres and everything, but a lot of the like the brutal, crazy, psycho shit, like they just don't, or the really psychologically harrowing, like and strange. Like I don't find a lot of that stuff. Like one of the coolest mangas ever that just didn't get finished because this one had a crazy story. It didn't get finished because the artist said that supernatural shit was occurring in his life because of the manga, and he had to stop doing it, and then things settled down. And like weird shit was happening to him. He thought he was like losing his mind or something. That at least that's how the story. But and it was people have heard of this. It was a manga called it was Psycho MD. No. What is it called? It was a horror manga with like short stories that were kind of connected. Radio. Maybe come on, somebody out there knows. Radio PTSD or something like that. I think it was like Radio PTSD or PTSD Radio, or PSM. Some radio, but basically, yeah, it's just like it was awesome. It had fucking creepy ass images, really cool. Like he had like the quality to have become like another Junji Ito, like as far as like creating really like out there sort of horror manga. And then he just kind of he stopped doing it because of like psychological and, according to him, like weird shit was happening in his life that shouldn't be. As the manga basically became more popular and people were reading it and stuff. So yeah, he had a psychological reason for stopping what was I thought was a really fucking great goddamn set of books. And there was only, I think, like 4 or 5. There's one manga artist that's really good. I can't remember his name right now, but he did a one called Intergalactic Love Gun, I think it was. And the reason he has trouble getting printed in Japan even is because he does like absurdist horror mixed with like erotic weird shit, but like he makes it funny. Like he's had like, you know, stories where there's a sexually transmitted disease that essentially makes like your face turn into like a specific shape in your mouth, and so then you can't kiss anyone that doesn't have your mouth shape, and you get like their mouth shape, and so like you'll have like a rectangular mouth. It's just like really absurd shit. And then like other ones about like, I think there's like another one in a few of those books like where like there was a guy who would sneeze, and every time he would sneeze, like all his organs would come out, and he'd have to like he'd have to like float his organs back into his body, and so he had trouble in the dating life because people would scream because like he would just explode. And
yeah, I'm not a big fan of all that body horror. I'm more of like clean, you know.
Oh yeah.
Like water soaked, you know, sides of metallic buildings.
No, yeah, no, for sure. I don't. I love body horror. And weird shit. I
Like
love all horror.
you know
So.
that one level from that one Souls-like game you made me or you recommended I play?
Oh,
Like
Mortal
the end
Shell.
game level? Yeah, Mortal Shell. You know that end game mission? Like imagine that, but it was nighttime and it's raining. Like that is
Oh, did you end
totally
up? Did
like
you end
what
up
I
beating
want.
it?
No, no, I didn't.
Oh, I'm
I haven't
surprised.
beaten it yet.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass. I
I haven't
think
opened it since.
it's a pain. That game's a pain in the ass. I beat it, but it was a pain in the ass to do. But it was interesting. Um, and it has a weird niche cult fan base because it's not liked. It's not a very liked game, but yeah. There's a few really good books. But anyway, when I was looking through the bookshelves, like I was looking through a lot of the mangas, and I'm like, I'm not finding this like over the top. Like, there's no more manga out there that I find wrapped in plastic at the bookstore anymore. Like, I don't see any 18 plus like insane.
Well, I mean,
shit.
I think they started getting a little bit more regulated. I think people started cracking down on them, like a lot of
Sucks.
parents.
Maybe I don't know, but you know what's funny is a lot of the
I mean, it's because
artists.
they got like some of them got filtered into like elementary schools, so
Oh
people
my
got like
God,
all up in
that's
arms,
bad.
but like because that's not
Yeah, I
okay.
remember there was some issues with that kind of stuff. They're like, "Oh, it's just comic books." No. Um, yeah,
No,
like,
because people are stupid and
or they
ignorant.
would make it to the public library, and they would put it in the manga section, and
Yeah,
people would be like, "Oh, look, Dragon Ball. What's Arm of Cannon?" And then they open it up. It's like a dude literally like cutting off a head while jizzing. Like, it's just like, okay. And so yeah, but point is, like, yeah, but what's funny is a lot of these artists that do like the really over the top weird shit, they get published by, like, sometimes they get published by like Faku. So they actually get published by hentai
really.
publishers. Yeah, yeah. Like the one I was talking about, that intergalactic love gun with the weird like shit.
Yeah,
Like they have a few books published through Faku. And so if you go on Faku and you look at their catalog, sometimes there's stuff in there that's really weird. That's not really like, the focus of it isn't like porn. And then some of the, even the porn stuff is so fucking strange that like I'll buy it because it's like fascinating. Of course, some of it's just, you know, fun times, but some of it I'll buy because it's like just odd and interesting. Like, oh, here's a good one, an old manga that's, you know, very violent and crazy with a lot of imagery, that was from like the 90s 80s, called Uru. In English it was called the Demon Beast, I think, something of the over Legend of the Overfiend. Never mind, I was thinking of a different one. It's called Legend of the Overfiend. There was like an OVA. It's very much like, almost like hentai, but mixed with like just a demonic storyline with like all this weird stuff in it. Yeah, Faku published those. Like, because this guy, like, basically they were just kind of out of print, and it was like an old manga that was also like at the time very, very risque and very bad and very this and that. And so yeah, I have those books. And so I bought like, I think it was like 5 books or something, 4 books. And yeah, they weren't cheap, but I had to buy them through Faku. It's like they don't have any other version published, at least like in English. So, and one of the most interesting things, I think, I don't know if I mentioned this before. Now I'm going off on a crazy tangent about manga. Is that one thing I find interesting about American publishing companies when it comes to hentai, is that because we don't have the same restrictions that Japan does, because Japan's like super, like, that's what's so crazy. You're saying like, oh, it's because of the West. No, like, Japan is super crazy about like censoring like sex and like pornography. Like, it's like
yeah, but
crazy. And
my point is
yeah.
that we're not that we censor more. It's that were we aware of it, we would censor more. And I think
Yeah.
that's what the problem
Oh,
is.
yeah.
A lot of Americans are just ignorant of Japanese
Well,
culture.
my point is that obviously we don't censor very much, except because we just sell everything now. Like, Foxwood just sells everything. Like, I have like the most disgusting books that I bought them because they looked interesting, and then I read them. I'm like, that was horrible. I appreciate that I have this, but I'm never gonna read that again. Um, but a lot of Japanese mangakas that do like hentai and stuff, they prefer to be published by something like Faku, because they can they have full artistic freedom.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting because there's even a market for Japanese readers that will actually buy the Faku release of a manga that was exclusively released because their version would be censored or they wouldn't be able to get the fully uncensored physical copy. And but since they can do that here, they literally have to ship internationally to get an English version of the hentai or whatever it is that they want that's fully uncensored. So crazy. So crazy to think that there's Japanese people ordering manga from American publishers to get what they want. And even then they probably have to use some like other means because I don't even think it's illegal to sell it. Or they have to have it like brought over by somebody that travels between the countries or something. Like it's crazy. So, but yeah, there's a lot of I'm telling you guys, there's a lot of really good shit on Faku that isn't just fully like hentai, but most of it is. Yeah, like 90, like I would say 80%, 85% of it's just hentai. But there's some funny shit on there, man. There's some really funny shit. Really goofy, funny shit. But anyway, and then there's horrible shit too. So whatever.
Your favorite?
I mean, some of it's horrible and fun. Some of it's just like, yeah, I don't need that in my life. I think they were the first. The artist who did that, famous the Metamorphosis one that really fucked up hentai.
That one.
Yeah. He's like done other releases on. He was like at. I think it was last year. Was it last year or 2 years ago at the Anime Expo? He was actually there. They have like, if you go to Anime Expo, they have like all the 18 plus booths. They're like in this one section in the corner, and like they're surrounded by like a black curtain, and you have to get in line to get in, and then you get in, and that's where all the 18 plus booths are. And that's where the Faku booth is too, but that one's like almost impossible. Like you literally, if you want to get the exclusive item there, you're gonna have to spend at least like 5 hours in line because there's just no way. And they'll only have a limited supply. But there was a year that the artist who did Metamorphosis or whatever, he was there and he was signing copies of it, and as well as signing copies of some new release or some shit like that. And I wanted to get one so badly, but then like I was with my fam, and dude, like I was like, yeah, they were like, we can't wait like 6 hours here. And I'm like, yeah, that's crazy, because like, yeah. So I was in like, plus I wanted to do other shit, so I was like, fuck, I really wanted it. Especially a cool signed copy or whatever, and with like a variant cover, I think, or something crazy. I remember I did line up on a previous year for a set of hentai from Faku that was like this one very kind of up and coming artist that did like really weird shit, and he did most like fantasy stuff. So I was like elves and witches, and I thought, oh, okay, that sounds cool. I looked at the art. I'm like, art's pretty rad. The set's kind of cool. It's gonna be signed. And I was like, okay, that sounds like a cool, fun thing. Like if I'm gonna buy one thing from Faku this year at the convention center, I want to make it something cool. And so I remember I bought that. And I was like reading it, and I was just like, oh man, I was reading like, and they were like, what do they call them? Not shoujo, dojins, right, or whatever. And
Yeah.
like they were like flat, like full size comic book sized soft covers that were like in a hardcover slip. They weren't like the traditional kind of books, and they were like short stories. And I remember I was going through it, and I'm like, wow, this art's pretty good, and I'm reading it, I'm like, okay, this is pretty tropey. You got your big titty elf that wants to fuck humans for some reason or something. And you have, of course, you had your conventional, obligatory, essay kind of stuff and, fucked up shit. But then they, like, I remember I got to one book, and I was just, usually when they're, like, the rapey shit's in there, I just kind of go like, okay. I'm like, where's the, like, that's fine, whatever. It's just, that's what you're going to get with hentai. And that's not the material I like for personal use at all. It's gross. But then I got to one book that was like,
What?
But I got to one book that I was just like, what in the fuck? Because like I was just like, oh, okay. And like it was like one with witches and whatever, and another one had like femboy stuff, and another one had like other shit. And then I got to one where it was just literally just like pages of a witch, just trigger warning, just being made to shit herself constantly. Like I was like, what the fuck? It was just like it would be like a panel of just a spray of Dookie. Like,
Thanks. You're so gross.
and I was like, what the fuck is this? And I was laughing my ass off. I'm like, what is this? And like they were just making this big, thick witch girl poop. They were like giving her like some spell that made her poop or something. And just poop everywhere.
Gross.
And it was like when I saw that, I knew this was a good investment because this is disgusting.
No.
And I'd be like, I don't
No.
ever want to read that again. I'm glad I purchased it because it's horrible and it's a funny
insane.
it's a funny kind of horrible. It's like the kind of horrible that I'm comfortable with.
No, it's a gross kind of gross.
Yeah, I don't mind gross horrible. I don't like
I do.
sadistic horrible. I'm not into sadistic horrible. I like gross weird horrible. But it was just like, yeah, it was weird. It was just like a pooping witch. I have no idea. But yeah. So I wasn't expecting that. I think it was the last of the books, and I was like, holy shit. I'm like, this is the exclusive. And it was really funny too, because a lot of these, a lot of the hentais, they'll have like inserts like of like the author writing to the fans of their stuff, and they seem like the sweetest people. Like every time, we're like really modest Japanese mangakas that are just like, oh, they're making little jokes, they're kind of self-deprecating, they're saying, I hope you like my book, I tried my best. And then like they're like really friendly, really modest, and like at the beginning pages, and then you read through the book and it's like horrible shit. It was horrible shit. The one of the horror ones that I thought was crazy, there was one where it was like for some reason, like they had to play this weird game with like this giant brain that like sent psychic messages, and it was like they had to like poke at this fucking brain thing. It was really weird. And then there was like another one where like a guy figured out a way to essentially like almost like an alien, like to suck all the internals of somebody and then like wear their skin, like, and then mold into it because he got some weird power or something. And so he became like a psycho that wanted to just experience different bodies. And so then he would go and he would just was wicked weird as shit with them. Like he would be like, oh, if somebody would wrong him, he would like kill them and then turn into them and then just do everything they can to ruin that person's like life that once they had by like doing some weird shit, like, fucking their brother or something. Like it's just so weird, man. I forgot that one was called Skin Crawler or something, like just something crazy. And I'm like, dude, this is where it's at. These fucking insane books. I'm like, I don't even see that shit, like gross shit, happen in like regular horror manga. Like it was like, what are these hentai artists doing? Like some of them, I think they're 18 plus, not even because of the nudity. They're 18 plus because of how fucked up and weird they are. Oh man. And then I have wholesome ones. Some that are incredibly wholesome. Very wholesome books. Very wholesome, very cute, very wholesome. At least by, hentai standard, I guess. Vanillas, if you will, but with interesting settings. All right, guys. Well, that was weird. I went from just talking about manga to talking about the usual because I got reminded about some horror stuff that it was really, really good. But anyway, read Blame. If you haven't read
You're just
Blame,
yapping. It's okay.
Yeah. If you read Blame is very good. Very Zoidy friendly book. Very Zoidy because there's just so much just people just not talking, and one guy just walking around by himself looking at cool ass just science fiction weird mega structure environments. I think there's probably already a book out there that has like a collection, probably some hardcover version or some shit. But yeah, Blame, big suggest if you don't need tons of dialogue and just want to look at cool art panels. And then and it kind of reminds me of like Souls games in the sense that like you don't really get the full explanation of what the world is or how it functions. You kind of just have to look at some of the panels and go like, and there's like little context clues and like weird shit in it. So yeah, there's like a lot of stuff in there that you're just like, that was really interesting. No resolution, no answer to that. and then just kind of moving on because he's got to keep climbing. So, yeah. Anyway, thanks a lot, guys, for joining me. Oh, some of you stuck around. I thought everyone was going to leave once things went off the deep end there. So many manhwas
I'm
start off with
surprised.
some
That was
cool
fucking
promise to get you
gross.
hooked, and then never moves that plot forward. Oh, yeah, there's a tons of manhwas that do that. It sucks. But any case, yeah. Thanks a lot for joining me. Thanks for listening to me. If you like my streams, please support me on Patreon. If you're already supporting me on Patreon and you just recently got a big raise, and go ahead and give me, you can up that. That really helps. All that stuff helps. I hate it, but money's important, and I hate money. But it's what am I gonna do? What the fuck am I gonna do? And that way I can spend more time doing this, and that'll help pay for gas and other little things, and eventually for projects that will cost much more money, but we'll see. We'll see. And if any of you out there is a huge millionaire that can throw a few pennies at me, go for it. I won't complain, but that's why I need that nonprofit done so that they can tax away those pennies they send me.
Yeah, he'll give you a special service if you give him $1 million too.
Oh, you're welcome. No, I don't give special services. Shut up.
Yeah, you do.
Cryozoid. Oh yeah, thanks, man.
Like
Thanks
that
for
one
being
thing
here.
you did for that other guy.
What? What? No, I don't do that. I don't do these things. You are
But
being
thanks, that one
gaslit by
time.
Shadow. Shadowfall is trying to gaslight you. But any case, all right. Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you later. And remember, I'll be back on Tuesday, with the tragic, what was it? Tragic topical Tuesdays, and on Thursday will be empty head or head empty Thursday, where you bring stuff for me to talk about, because I don't want to think about what to talk about on Thursday. So you bring it to me, otherwise I just sit there and do whatever. But yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Peace out, and as usual, when day is dark, always remember